This LOS is describe repurchase agreements, repos, and the risks associated with them. Short-term funding alternatives available to banks. So now we're looking at repurchase and reverse repurchase agreements. Repurchase agreements are another important source of funding, not only for banks, but also for other market participants. A repurchase agreement, or repo, is the sale of a security with a simultaneous agreement by the seller to buy the same security back from the purchaser at an agreed upon price and future date. In practical terms, a repurchase agreement can be viewed as a collateralized loan in which the security sold and subsequently repurchased represents the collateral posted, okay? So one party is borrowing money and providing collateral for the loan at an interest rate that is typically lower than on an otherwise similar bank loan. The other party is lending money while accepting security as collateral for the loan. So in summary, a repurchase agreement is similar to a collateralized loan. It involves the sale of security, the collateral, with a simultaneous agreement by the seller, the borrower, to buy the same security back from the purchaser, the lender, at an agreed upon price in the future. Repurchase agreements are a common source of funding for dealer firms and are also used to borrow securities to implement short positions. I found in the past that many candidates have found a little bit of trouble with the repurchase agreements and just some of the terminology. So in this LOS, we're going to do quite a few practice problems, and that's pretty much the best way to get on top of it. The first one should be fairly easy though. A repurchase agreement is most comparable to A, an interbank deposit, B, a collateralized loan, or C, negotiable certificate of deposit. Yeah, I think that was an easy one. A repurchase agreement is most comparable to a collateralized loan. B is correct. Repurchase agreement can be viewed as a collateralized loan where the security sold and subsequently repurchased represents the collateral posted. So again, we're going to do a few questions on repos. I'm going to start them fairly easy, but you'll see there is a little bit, a couple of things you need to think about. The next practice question, from the dealer's viewpoint, a repurchase agreement is best described as a type of A, collateralized short-term lending, B, collateralized short-term borrowing, or C, uncollateralized short-term borrowing. Okay, the correct answer is B. In a repurchase agreement, a security is sold with a simultaneous agreement by the seller to buy the same security back from the purchaser later at a higher price. Thus, a repurchase agreement is similar to a collateralized short-term borrowing, so it's in which the security sold and subsequently repurchased represents the collateral. So A is incorrect because collateralized short-term lending is a description of a reverse repurchase agreement. And maybe I should put this question a little bit later because we will look in more detail a few more slides from now at the reverse repurchase agreement. Anyhow, C is incorrect because a repurchase agreement involves collateral. Thus, it is collateralized, not uncollateralized short-term borrowing. Okay, now we're just going to walk through the mechanics on the structure of a repurchase and reverse repurchase agreement. So we're going to look at a repo here. And suppose a government securities dealer purchases a 2.25% UK gilt that matures in 3 years. So a repurchase agreement may be constructed as follows. Number one, the dealer sells the 2.25% UK gilt that matures in 3 years to a counterparty for cash today. At the same time, the dealer makes a promise to buy the same gilt the next business day for agreed upon price. The price at which the dealer repurchases the gilt is known as the repurchase price. The date when the gilt is repurchased, the next business day in this example, is called the repurchase date. When the term of a repurchase agreement is 1 day, it is called an overnight repo. When the agreement is for more than 1 day, it is called a term repo. An agreement lasting until the final maturity date is known as a repo to maturity. And the interest rate on a repurchase agreement is called the repo rate. Several factors affect the repo rate. One is the risk associated with the collateral. Two is the term of the repurchase agreement. Three, the delivery requirement for the collateral. Repo rates are usually lower when delivery to the lender is required. 4, the supply and demand conditions of the collateral, and finally 5, the interest rates of alternative financing in the money market, of course. Now we're going to look at the credit risks associated with repurchase agreements. 1 is the length of the repurchase agreement. That makes sense. The longer the time, the higher the risk. 2 is the quality of the collateral. 3 is the credit quality of the counterparty. And finally, 4 is the supply and demand conditions of the collateral. Another quick practice question. The interest on a repurchase agreement is known as A, the repo rate, B, the repo yield, or C, the repo margin. Again, this question should be fairly easy if you've been paying attention to the bullet points, because on one slide we had that the interest rate on a repurchase agreement is called the repo rate. So A is correct. The repo rate is the interest rate on a repurchase agreement. 2 more practice questions to finish this LOS. The first one, the level of repo margin is higher. A, the higher the quality of the collateral. B, the higher the credit quality of the counterparty. Or C, the longer the length of the repurchase agreement. Okay, I think this one should have been fairly intuitive. C is correct. The level of repo margin is higher the longer the length of the repurchase agreement. Because the longer the length of the repurchase agreement, the higher the repo margin, which is the haircut. A is incorrect because the higher quality of the collateral, that would lower the repo margin. That makes sense. And the higher the credit quality of the counterparty, again, that's less risk, so that would lower the repo margin. What would increase the risk or increase the margin? Well, it would be the longer the length of the agreement. And one last practice question to finish this LOS. If an institutional investor wants to borrow money for 30 days to finance a bond purchase, which of these is most likely to be the lowest loan rate available? A, term repo rate, B, call money rate, or C, broker loan rate? Okay, I think that was a nice question to end on. So the correct answer is A, the term repo rate. For institutional investors, the term repo rate is less than the cost of bank financing, i.e. broker loan rate or call money rate. So again, just remember the terminology there. I copied and pasted from a previous slide. When the term of a repurchase agreement is 1 day, it's called an overnight repo. When the agreement is for more than 1 day, it's called a term repo. And an agreement lasting until the final maturity date is known as a repo to maturity. And that's the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.